So, hello everybody. So, I thought that I should again read a little bit. It's been a long time that I read a good book, and I have decided to share this with anyone who likes to listen to this, who likes to listen to my hypnotizing voice. So I make short videos where I read some passages of certain books. Could be English, could be German, and when I'm in the mood to make some people laugh, I will try to read Russian even. So actually I can read the Russian letters, but pronunciation is a little off, I would say. Okay, what do we have here? I wanted to read Solomon's Key. I decided for the Key of Solomon the King. I somehow like this name. Don't know why. Sounds familiar. This book is about occultism. A lot of it's kind of like a journal. There are a lot of drawings of occultic symbols. Of course, I won't show any pictures. You have to get this book yourself. So I will read this, and this also practices my reading skills. I will leave every mistake I make. Let's be real here. It happens. So, off we go. Key of Solomon the King. Clavicula Salomonis. Now first translated and edited from ancient MSS in the British Museum. Okay, let's skip this. Key of Solomon the King. Preface. In presenting this celebrated magical work to the student of occult science, some few prefatory remarks are necessary. The Key of Solomon, save for a curtailed and incomplete copy published in France in the 17th century, has never yet been printed, but has for centuries remained in manuscript from inaccessible to all but the few fortunate scholars to whom the inmost recesses of the great libraries were open. I therefore consider that I am highly honored in being the individual to whose lot it has fallen to usher it into the light of day, the fountainhead and storehouse of Kabbalistical magic. From Kabbalah, the word Kabbalistical. It's written with a Q here. Magic, and the origin of much of the ceremonial magic of medieval times. The Key has been ever valued by occult writers as a work of the highest authority, and notably in our own day, Eliphas Levi, it's a name, has taken it for the model on which is celebrated Dogme et Ritual de la Haute Magie. I think this is French. Yeah, that would explain why I can't read it properly. Was based. It must be evident to the initiated reader of Levi that the Key of Solomon was his textbook of study, and at the end of this volume I give a fragment of an ancient Hebrew manuscript of the Key of Solomon, translated and published in the Philosophy Occult, as well as an invocation called the Kabbalistical Invocation of Solomon, which bears close analogy to one in the first book, being constructed in the same manner on the scheme of the Sephirot. Sometimes when it's written, some words are written differently and sometimes hard to read. The history of the Hebrew original of the Key of Solomon is given in the introductions, but there is every reason to suppose that this has been entirely lost, and Christian, the pupil of Levi, says as much in his Histoire de la Magie. I see no reason to doubt the tradition which assigns the authorship of the key to King Solomon, for among others Josephus, the Jewish historian, especially mentions the magical works attributed to the monarch. This is confirmed by many Eastern traditions, and his magical skill is frequently mentioned in the Arabian Nights. There are, however, two works on black magic, the Grimorium Verum and the Clavicola di Salomon Ridolta, which have been attributed to Solomon and which have been in some cases especially mixed up with the present work, but which have nothing really to do therewith. They are full of evil magic, and I cannot caution the practical student too strongly against them. There is also another work called Lemegeton, or the Lesser Key of Solomon the King, which is full of seals of various spirits, and is not the same as the present book, though extremely valuable in its own department. So Lesser Key of Solomon, maybe this will be also a book I will read one day. In editing this volume, I have omitted one or two experiments partaking largely of black magic, and which had evidently been derived from the two Goethic works mentioned above. I must further caution the practical worker against the use of blood. The prayer, the pentacle, and the perfumes, rightly used, are sufficient, and the former verges dangerously on the evil path. Let him who, in spite of the warnings of this volume, determines to work evil, be assured that the evil will recoil on himself, and that he will be struck by the reflex current. This work is edited from several ancient MSS in the British Museum, which all differ from each other in various points, some giving that what is omitted by the others, but all unfortunately agreeing in one thing, which is the exercible mangling of the Hebrew words through the ignorance of the transcribers. But it is in the Pentateuch that the Hebrew is worst, the letters being so vilely scribbled as to be actually undecipherable in some instances, and it has been part of my work for several years to correct and reinstate the proper Hebrew and magical characters in the Pentateuch. The student may therefore safely rely on the being now as nearly correct in their present reproduction as it is possible for them to be. I have therefore wherever I could corrected the Hebrew of the magical names in the conjurations and pentacles, and in the few instances where it was not possible to do so, I have put them in the most usual form, carefully collating throughout one MS with another. The chapters are a little differently classed in the various MSS, in some instances the matter contained in them being transposed. I have added notes wherever necessary. The MSS from which this work is edited are at MSS 10,862, Sloan MSS 1307, and 391, Herlin MSS 398, King's MSS 288, and Lansdowne MSS 1202 and 1203, 7 codices in all. Of all these, 10 862 at MSS is the oldest, its date being about the end of the 16th century. So let's cut it from here. Of course, it was a little bit boring. That's all book starts it, but I want to do it real, yeah. So we start with the boring stuff and then work up to it. So till next time.